So imagine that I told you someone would rob you outside your home. This would allow you to have time to make a plan of action, get a weapon, and have a better chance at protecting yourself. It's better than them surprise attacking you and having to figure all these things out in the moment. So this video is sort of like my warning against charismatic men and understanding the power that they hold over women. Welcome, my name is Nirvana. Thank you for being here. Please like the video, even if you don't know you like me yet. So, charismatic men can be dangerous, and here's why. Throughout this video, I will put up some Google images and video of the definition of charisma, which you will see here. It basically means exercising a compelling charm which inspires devotion in others. I'm someone that loves words, and so I would like to get into breaking down the word charisma and all of its synonyms to drive my point home of what you are really up against when you're dealing with a charismatic man, so that you can untangle what it is you're feeling, because I've been the victim of two charismatic men in my life before, and I will get into those examples in this video toward the end. So I will show a picture of all of the synonyms on screen. Like I said, you can pause it and read them all, but I will only be zooming in on a few that states that directly relates to the examples I will be giving in the end of the video. Pay attention to the synonyms that describe charisma. The exercising a compelling charm which inspires devotion in others. It's devotion, it's captivating, it's magnetic, it's bewitching, it's magical, it's dreamy, it's entrancing, irresistible, too good to be true, it's mesmeric. And mesmeric is a word I'm going to be using throughout this video, which means causing a person to become completely transfixed and unaware of anything else around them. They pull on your energy field because they are actual magnets for everyone, men and women, and most people haven't developed their consciousness enough to comprehend what's happening to them. Charismatic people awaken this animalistic attraction within you. It's deeper than lust, because lust doesn't engender the type of indiscriminate magnetism and blind devotion that charisma does. It actually says that in the dictionary, an animalistic attraction. Some, not all, successful cult leaders of famous religious leaders possess charisma. So generally, you can't garner a devoted, consistent following without it. I fell victim to a cult because of a charismatic spiritual leader, and I'll talk about that toward the end. Charisma is the invisible social glue that money cannot buy. Not even having the respect of people can come close to the power of charisma. It's the ability to control another human being's mind and energy, which leads to controlling their actions and major life decisions. Charismatic people have the ability to become literal puppet masters and control others to carry out whatever fantasy their hearts desire. This is why true charisma is a rare characteristic, and it should be. It's dangerous because most of us would not be able to responsibly handle the power of what true charisma is. True charisma will destroy the individual that abuses it. Because again, to say it's hard not to fall victim to the power of charisma is an understatement. It requires a lot of discipline and pristine discernment for the person that possesses this power. These people or charismatic individuals will come to a fork in the road of their lives, usually when they're in their younger years, where they are presented with the awareness of their gift and how they affect people. And they will have to determine how they are going to utilize their power, whether to lift people up in love into their individual greatness, like assisting other people to reach their goals and dreams, or are you going to abuse them and treat them like puppets to carry out every fantasy and whim that their heart desires? Please understand, people have all kinds of things that make them attractive, but I don't want us to confuse physical attraction or having a crush or limerence or people having great personalities with charisma. Okay, they are not the same. Being physically attractive pales in comparison with the magnetism that charisma has. Charisma is the essence a person comes into the planet with, sort of like a sexy person. Yes, a woman can put on sexy clothes, but sexy is your essence. A woman could have what people consider to be literally a perfect body and still not be sexy. Two famous examples would be Rihanna and Angelina Jolie. A male example, actually a rather good male example, would be Tupac. He was charismatic and had sex appeal, which was just unfair. Sorry to the women that had to be in his presence. Must have been tough. I actually have a good friend who used to work at Vibe magazine and worked with Tupac a few times. And she said there were times where he would talk for hours and people would literally just gather around and stare at him as if they were in a trance and lost track of time. Again, the synonym mesmeric describes this perfectly, as they were forgetting the reality around them. They were in transfixed. Charismatic people have the power to blind you from their flaws or to make the less appealing things about them quirky or adorable. It literally becomes harder for you to notice things like red flags or things that might not be compatible with you because you are in a trance, sort of like hypnosis. A quick example of how a woman might know if she's with a charismatic man is if she always has a feeling of insecurity that she could be left at any moment. It's sort of like these women inherently understand that their men are magnetizing every woman in their vicinity and that, her time could be up at any moment. It depends on her connection to the man. But also, this is just a fear that a lot of women have who date such men with these qualities. Next, I want to get into something very nuanced here because I feel like this will help you with your self-awareness. And I'm realizing that self-awareness is what this whole game of life is about, not enlightenment. Walking around with self-awareness is sort of like giving yourself a heads up for when something shows up that's hard to deal with. And you can be like, oh, I recognize this. I'll live. It's sort of like you'll realize like, oh, he's just charismatic. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have a crush or that there's real interest because, I don't know them, but I'm feeling drawn to them. It also doesn't mean I need to be cheating on my husband or boyfriend or that you need to leave your current relationship for Mr. Charisma because they'll have you, child. Because again, they are pulling in everybody. So you are a part of that everybody that feels probably the same way about this person. So not only do charismatic people need an above average level of discernment because they have more things to discern through and decipher through than the average person. And so you also, the person being attracted to them, need to develop masterful discernment and say, with all of the charisma aside, is this person actually a suitable match for me to successfully date? Ask yourself, can I pinpoint what is it I like about this person? A woman may become mentally fucked up, okay, for lack of a better term. And, confusing their magnetism to a charismatic man with being in love. Because a charismatic person can tap into the dopamine release in your brain without even touching you. These really good feelings, the butterflies you feel when you're around them, might feel like you're in love. But this isn't coming from a real place within you. You are in love, okay? But with one powerful aspect of them, the aspect that is magnetizing you toward them without your permission. I hope I'm making sense. I'm using the word magnetizing for a reason. I beg to argue that some of these qualities, such as sex appeal and charisma, are the reasons why people are in relationships that are wrong. We are confusing charisma in men and sex appeal in women for this person being a good match for a long-term relationship because we feel drawn in, we're attracted. Then when the person begins giving us hell and anxiety and the relationship becomes intolerable, it ends because y'all were just never a match for long term to begin with. Like a woman being attracted to a charismatic man who isn't good for her doesn't understand that it's not that she's attracted to a bad boy or a man that's bad for her. Her attraction is to something deeper and animalistic, as one of the synonyms of charisma described this animalistic attraction. One of the main points I'm making in this video is having charisma has no bearings on whether someone is a good partner for you individually. It simply means they are magnetic and you can viscerally feel the pull on your nervous system. Next, I'll go into 2 scenarios where I fell victim to charismatic men for you to be able to decipher between charisma and a person just being visually attractive or just having nice personality traits. I'm very sensitive to the unseen world of energy and will try and break this down as best I can. I was in a cult before, and the leader was very charismatic and believable. I also loved the religion of Hinduism, and he was parading as a Hindu monk. People described my behavior during that time as being out of touch with reality. Again, hitting on the synonym mesmeric, meaning forgetting the reality around you. You are literally under a spell because your consciousness hasn't developed enough awareness. I can't express my level of devotion I felt for this man in words. Even fantasizing about becoming his wife at one point. I have no idea why, because again, this wasn't sexual attraction I was feeling. It was the deepest sense of devotion I've ever felt. It was intense and damn near maddening. I was doing any and everything to make it to his ashram in India. It didn't help that I had secret, avid fantasies about living as a monk before and saw this as an opportunity to live that dream and have a total different lifestyle. But I eventually woke up to his long list of deception of being a psychopathic sex offender, sex trafficker, rapist, child molester, kidnapper, money laundering, and abuser of people's human rights. Again, true charisma is a powerful essence and too tempting for most humans to not abuse that power and succumb to their evil nature. So that's one example. The next example happened when I was in college in my early 20s, and I had no self-awareness, y'all, child, to save my life, because my spiritual awakening happened after I left the cult around 33 years old. So in college, okay, I was dating someone purely out of convenience, which I don't recommend and don't feel proud in saying. But yeah, I don't recommend that. Number one, because it's a shitty thing to do to someone. And number two, I paid for it karmically for years after that situation ended. I won't get into the karma. That's irrelevant. I'm freed of it now. But what happened was I found myself being drawn into my boyfriend's friend, who was also a really good friend of mine. And we all spent considerable amount of time together. I'm choosing my words very carefully when I say I found myself being drawn in. It means I came to conscious awareness one time when I was around him that I was physically being drawn into his intimate personal space. It felt like I almost had no control over what was going on. Now, y'all, I must say, I have still yet come across a person that had groupies that was not a celebrity, okay? So this man I'm talking about has a very magnetic masculine aura and was also very physically attractive. People like him, you can find yourself invading their personal space and not even knowing why or understand what the hell is happening. That was the case with he and I. And he ended up telling my boyfriend because I guess I made him uncomfortable, and I can understand why. And me and Mr. Charisma stopped being friends and talking to each other for a while, which was really hurtful because we had a great friendship, but the charisma was definitely getting to me. And I carried so much shame and confusion around my actions because I could not get to the bottom of my behavior that day. I had no intentions on sleeping with him, but it's why was my behavior saying the complete opposite? And I honestly wouldn't be able to have imagined if we did cross any boundaries because I barely could even handle what did happen. It was this dichotomy and confusion that I could not settle within. I was like, wow, am I really that girl that would cheat on her boyfriend with her friend? Am I really that trifling? And it just didn't make any sense to me. I was carrying that secret shame for 15 years to the point of not even being able to trust myself with having another boyfriend or husband. Am I going to do this to my next boyfriend? Well, the answer is hell no. That situation taught me I don't even want to know my friends, my man's friends at this point. But I was like, where is this behavior coming from? But the eclipse energy of 1025 this week has brought much solace, clarity, and discernment. A lot of subconscious traumas was brought to the surface and will be brought to the surface for you guys over the next few weeks. The inspiration for this video came to me through deep prayer for answers. So now that I have proper context around my actions, I have been able to forgive myself and let go of the inner turmoil I had been feeling for years. Another quick example, my dad met David Dinkins before and said he shook David's hand and felt dizzy and drained like he was about to pass out. He felt how powerful that man's aura was. Again, true charisma viscerally impacts your energy field. And you must understand this fact as the difference between charisma and just a dope person. Charisma is a standalone characteristic. I've had crushes before. I've experienced limerence. I've been around funny men, intelligent men, kind, deeply spiritual, rich men, sexy men, and none of those qualities have the pure magnetism charisma has, because charisma is an energy field that emanates from and surrounds the person. These people engender jealousy and confusion and insecurity in people, and they can't even pinpoint what they're jealous or insecure of because it's metaphysical. I believe we are being called to look deeper than our sexual attraction to other human beings. Listen, it's hard, pun intended, I know. Charisma is a strong force to ignore. It's actually undeniable. I'm not saying to suppress it either. This message is simply for you to have more awareness around these strong feelings of attraction and magnetism stem from, where these feelings stem from, because then you can have more discernment around your behavior around such individuals. And most importantly, knowing the why behind it all, because it was the not knowing why that was causing me the turmoil. I hope this video has shed some light on the differences between charisma and someone just being an attractive person. I also don't want people out here blaming why they cheated on their partner because the person was charismatic, because again, this is a rare trait and does not make up for even 75% of the reason why people cheat here. Luckily, most of us may never have to engage someone of this caliber in real life on a daily basis, but it's because it's rare. But it doesn't hurt to be aware of such brilliant souls and their effect on our consciousness, actions, decisions, energy field, and nervous system. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have you ever been seduced by someone's charisma? Thank you for watching.